Hi, I'm MJ from Linus Publications, and I'm just going to take a few minutes to go over what has happened in Peru. They recently just impeached the leader of the country, who happened to be Dina Boluarte. And I'm not saying she was corrupt, but there were many questionable things of what she was doing. And we're not going forward, so hopefully, like knowing the, probabilities of what might happen, we're just going to look at what did happen in the charts, because I think you might find it interesting. So the first one we're going to look at is Dina Boluarte. And I want to just point out a few things. First thing we have here that's really important is that transiting Pluto is squaring her Mars. So you've probably heard me say this a lot of times before, but the square is a difficult angle. It's stress. Pluto is what? Control. Mars is action. So in effect, this meant that she would likely be having issues with any type of action, being able to implement them. There would be a power play for her control over the country, which is exactly what happened. Now, that angle actually came exacted around 9-1. And it has, about plus or minus a month or two, either direction, to actually have it happen. Now, the next angle we have is Saturn, that is in conjunct Uranus. Now, and this one happened to be 10-15 on 2025. That's when it was exact. Saturn is what? Well, when you have an in conjunct, it's a difficult angle, so that means it's a break and adjust, which means you can't get there from here. So what's Saturn? It's the structure of the country. Uranus is change. So in effect, she couldn't really change to do what the country needed. So it was going to set her up, in effect, for failure, which is the adjustment part. She needed to be adjusted out of her position. Now we also have, let's see, one more. Yes, we have Mars, which is actually square to both the north and the south nodes. So that's transiting Mars. And normally I don't go down to the Mars level because we get so much of the other stuff that really tells us what's going on. But this would have also been sort of a deciding or a triggering type event. Mars, in this case, making that karmic connection to both the south and north nodes, a square, indicates that, yes, she had a pattern of doing certain types of things, and she couldn't bring herself to get on a better track. So, in effect, this was fate stepping in saying, well, you should not have taken that track. You should have gotten your better angels and gotten yourself in line. So that's what her chart shows. So now let's take a look at his chart, Peru's chart, excuse me. And the first thing we see is that Pluto is the transiting Pluto is in trine, which is a good angle to Saturn. So what does that mean? It means that Pluto is going to come in and clean up what? Saturn, the structure of the government. She happens to be part of the structure of the government. Now, on that Saturn in her natal chart, in Peru's natal chart, we also have Uranus sitting there. So Uranus is conjuncting on Saturn. What does that mean? It means that this is, in effect, a quick change. So it's a change that happened, and they probably couldn't predict it earlier this year. So it just happened, and it's on the Saturn, which is on the structure of the government. Now, we also have Saturn, which is square natal Mercury. Saturn is what? It's a square, so it's restriction on what? The voice of the government, or one of the voices of the government. And this would have been her. So in effect, they're taking her ability to communicate as the government out of this. Now, the next thing we have is Jupiter opposing Venus. Now, Jupiter in this chart actually rules the 11th house. And the 11th house is sometimes known in charts around the world as being sort of not the executive branch, but sort of the congressional branch. So this would be the congressional branch against what? And again, this is Venus. Venus was ruling the 4th house and the 9th house. 4th house is the end. So they're going about to do what? The end of something. And the 9th house is legal. So what are they doing? They're doing an impeachment. Now, the next thing we have is, I noted that we have Neptune. Well, I haven't. This is the note now. Neptune conjuncting Pluto. Neptune is shadowy. So it could speak to some corruption or things being done sort of under the covers, not transparent. Pluto, in effect, happens to be the ruler of the 10th house. 10th house in a country chart usually also stands for the status of the country, also for the leader. So in this case, she is, in effect, not transparent. She's sort of foggy with her dealings. Next thing we have is we have both the north and the south node actually square to her natal, to Peru's natal sun. So what is this saying? Well, the sun is literally in a country chart, can be sort of looked at as being the identity of the country, and sometimes that's reflected in the leader. So in this case, it was the thing of the karma. So the leader gets taken down because of what? Not able to correct the actions that she had before. So that was quick. Hope you enjoyed that and have a great day. Bye now.